government has unveiled what it calls the biggest reforms to work and welfare in a generation, the Tories say Labour have dodged all the tough decisions, such as not cracking down on sickness benefits. So let's just take a look at the plans. And the key issue here is when they're thinking about someone without a job, who are they picturing? Because if it's somebody who wants a job, if it's someone who says, I need a job, then you can build policies around them much more easily. But the government looks at this person and says, oh, really? Does he want a job or not? That's the really big question for politicians. Does he want a job or not? So, policies as follows. Announced today, 8,500 extra mental health staff to help people who are just too depressed or upset. Sickness benefits rethink. £55 million overhaul of job centres, that's the big one. Young people lose benefits if they don't earn or learn, and then a load of money shoved at mayors for God knows what. Here he is. If it's him, he needs a job, he wants to work, you can work with that. You can do something. But it's not that easy, as we know. Because here's the Mail, and OK, there's a bit of an agenda here, but 10 million Brits out of work and a lot of them just not looking for work. Now, Labour being blamed for their increase in national insurance contributions for employers, which make it more expensive to employ someone. But the numbers are staggering. We're a country where you've got 9.4 million economically inactive people, which is up more than at the start of the pandemic, which no other country has. We've got a lot of people off with temporary sickness, but far more with sort of long-term sickness that they look as if they'll never work again. 1 million are off for other reasons like waiting for a job application. When you break the figures down, the biggest single group that's grown is young people who are too depressed. And actually, I'll play you this clip here of the Shadow Work and Pension Secretary, Helen Whately, who's not happy.
Given that they have had 14 years to prepare for this moment, is that it? The fact is, the Secretary of State has dodged the tough decisions. Every day she kicks the can down the road, costs the taxpayer millions of pounds, at this rate rising to 100 billion on sickness benefits by the end of this Parliament.
But the Work and Pension Secretary, Labour's Liz Kendall, defended the approach.
The only people who dodge difficult decisions on welfare are the party opposite. Yeah. We need big reforms, not easy slogans that say people just felt a bit too bluesy to work, that do nothing to help people get to grips with the real issues in their lives. We are facing up to our responsibilities.
What about that, Carole?
I mean, I think she talks toss. This is the woman who a couple of days ago actually said we're not supposed to call the 9 million people who are economically inactive because it's dehumanising. We think that's the person that's actually going to sort out this crisis. No, it isn't. You know, when you have
she doesn't want to insult them because that makes it less likely.
Why is it insulting to say someone is economically inactive when that's exactly what
bluesy. She doesn't like the language.
No, she might not like the word bluesy, but the word economically inactive is absolutely correct.
Why do you think so many young people can't work?
Okay. Do you know why? I think they can work. We know there's 1 million people between 16 and 24 who are not actually looking for a job. Now, why aren't they? They're not looking for a job because A, they know mummy and daddy will pay, or B, if they don't work, there's benefits. We make it too easy in this country not to work. And I think this party is not going to be able to get to grips with it. We know that it's going to be something like 4 million on the sick by 2030, which is 60% more than before the pandemic. I think we just make it too easy for people not to work. You know, I think we've got to stop pretending that people don't game the system, because they do. We know they do. You know, when you have the main reason for people between 16 and 60 being off work is anxiety, depression, and what's the other one? It's anxiety,
mental illness,
and something. No, nerves. It's not mental illness.
Nerves.
The main three reasons: anxiety, depression, and nerves. Now,
nerves is anxiety.
But that was the wording.
Phil, you think Carol's been too harsh? Carol's been too harsh, you think?
But let me just.
Hang on. You've had a good shout. Go on.
Who would be a young person today?
Oh, please.
I mean, OK, listen, you spoke some sense. Yeah. Listen to me as well now. Who would be young? We went to university. Who paid for it? The state did. We didn't. It was free. Not saddled with debt. These young people can't afford to rent, can't afford to buy. The gig economy.
No pension.
No pension. 0 hours contract. They've got the spectre of climate change hanging over them. They went through COVID. The schools were shut.
We all went through
hang
COVID.
on, listen for a
We
second.
all went through COVID.
They went, yes, but these are young people. The schools were shut. There was virtually no education for 2 years. No wonder there are casualties. I sat down with some young people yesterday. I think it's offensive to say they're gaming the system.
I said some are.
And I listened to Ian Duncan-Smith yesterday on the radio. He said it's simple. You're right. It's too easy. What happens now is you can either claim unemployment benefit or go on the sickie. And if you go on the sickie, there's no help for you. These measures...
Do you know...
Hang on, I just finished my sentence.
All right, I'm going to call. Dom. Yeah.
Offer help to young people.
Okay.
And that's what's needed.
Okay, no, hang on. Jean in Dorset wants to speak, and you're the priority, Jean. What do you want to say to Carole?
Oh, God, this makes my blood boil.
Does it?
Thank heavens for Carole, because she's...
You're going to have a go at me.
What do you want to say to Phil?
No, Carole sees it exactly as it is. Now, I would start off by saying that, of course, there are genuine cases out there who deserve support. But I can tell you, for every one of those, there are hundreds who are swinging the lead.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're unhappy rather than depressed, and they think their unhappiness is depression. It may not be a cynical thing. They may be genuinely thinking they're ill when they're not.
Well, do you know what? On reflection, I am now retired, as is my husband, and I think I've had anxiety and depression all my life from going to work.
And are you being sarcastic, or do you think you have?
No, she's spot on here, because this is the problem, Jean. People like us in our generation, everyone is anxious at work. You have anxieties. I get 2 of these things that are supposed to keep you off work all the time, but you deal with it, and it doesn't mean you don't have to work.
All right, thanks, Jean. Charlotte in County Durham, hi.
Hello.
What do you think of this?
Well, a bit of background information. I'm 52, and
Well done.
I am on sickness benefits. I suffer from quite a lot of ailments, including autism. Now, what the government, any government, whether they be Labour or Conservative, has to do is differentiate between people who are genuine, and of course there are people who are genuine. Also, people
Charlotte, I'm interrupting.
And committing fraud.
I wanted to say, are you able to work?
No.
Why not?
I'm not.
Why not?
Well, as I said to you, I've got severe autism. I've got a number of other things that, if I was to go into it and explain in detail to you,
well, just give me a broad brush. Is it?
Day.
Forgive me. Just is it a mental problem or a physical problem or what? I'm just trying to work out, because the government will start to say
problems that manifest themselves physically in just an example. Extreme fatigue. I'm not talking about being a little bit tired. I'm talking about struggling to stay awake.
Yeah,
now,
well, I don't know. Carol's the school of hard knocks here.
I mean, I don't know why being autistic would stop you working, Charlotte, because a lot of people who are autistic do work. But I think the problem we have now is that a lot of people think anxiety and nerves and stress means that you shouldn't work, and I think that's absolutely wrong.
Well, you might need help with work, Carole. You might need help.
Well, Robbie Williams had
We
anxiety.
need to stop demonising people
like
Charlotte and people like that.
Are you seriously thinking? Are you seriously? Can I give you a stat about ADHD? The figures for ADHD, how much we're paying for this now?
ADHD.
ADHD.
Yeah.
Since just before since 2013, the people who are now claimed that it's increased by 41,000%. Do we really think in
41,000%?
41,000%.
Wow.
The government paid something like 700 grand in 2013. It's now multi-million.
Okay, Phil, that sounds wrong.
That's wrong.
Offer help. We're making it, you're right, Carole, we're making it too easy for people to claim the benefit because there's no help and assistance. What happens, let's just picture this for 1 second. These young people or older people, they walk into a job centre, they have 5 minutes of tick boxing, there's no support, there's no help. These changes at least offer some assistance. If you're an employer...
It's not going to work.
Carole,
no,
if you're...
It's not going to work.
Hang on, I'm just going to ask you a question.
No, hang on, let's take our break. Let's pause. Don't forget the question. So, Phil, you had a question for Carole.
Yes, I mean, my point is that people like the caller Charlotte we've just heard, people need help, people need assistance. They need to encourage to work. My question is, if you're an employer, would you want someone who's actually just been kicked up the backside and is forced to come and work?
Hello.
Or hang on, I'll just finish. Or would you want someone who's encouraged and supported and given the right tools to come and work?
The mental health services
not just
in
somebody
this
who's
country
forced to.
are there and available. They are out there. We pay a lot of money for our mental
They're
health
not available. That's
but
the
do you
point.
know? Yes, they are. But do you know that
Really?
that actually people, young people and older people, you can self-diagnose a mental illness and you can get sickness benefits for that.
You don't have to.
You don't have to
phone in on.
Phil,
is there
did you
help
just hear
for
what I
the
said?
mentally
You can
ill?
self-diagnose a mental illness and get benefits, which is outrageous.
Let's get Leslie in Flintshire. Leslie, I understand your son's not working. Is that right?
Hello.
Hiya.
Yeah. My son doesn't work. He was my ex-partner was part of the Fleet Air Am in the Navy, high up, and was a senior nurse in the NHS.
Okay.
He went to boarding school. He got A levels and O levels. He was given the chance to go to Formula One in Huntingdon, which was McLaren.
Okay, so it sounds like he had a sort of a bit of a gilded start. Yep.
He just won't. He refuses to work. All he does is play games all night, and then he goes to sleep all day. And then the first thing he said when I said to him, "Why aren't you working?" He said, "Why should I?" And his friends are all the same. They said, "The state will keep me."
Oh!
Thank God you've rung in, Leslie, because so many people like Phil thinks that everyone who doesn't work has a problem. And thank God you've actually said this.
But how is he able to claim benefits? I mean, surely he's walking and talking, he goes in, he says, "I can't work because I'm bone idle," or what?
He's bone idle. He just doesn't want to work.
Is that a condition?
And his friends are the same.
And the thing is, Leslie, he can be bone idle because he knows his mum and dad aren't going to let him starve, and that's the point. And I think that's the same with a lot of young people.
We've disowned him,
Leslie, because if he's living with you, he won't be entitled to benefit.
He's been disowned.
I disowned him because I was so disgusted. Me and his father have worked years, hard work, hard graft, and he's turning around and saying, "Why the hell should I work?"
Well, I think
purely
we can
because
agree it's not
the
good for
state's
him.
going to keep me.
What I don't understand, Leslie, is how on earth he is able to claim benefits if he is clearly walking and talking.
Because they know how to work the system.
So he goes in
and all his friends are the same.
And does he say he's got depression or what?
Yeah, he just says, "I've got depression, I can't work," and that's it.
See, I mean, that's shocking. And how does this Labour government change that attitude?
Well,
they can't.
It comes back to our rather good graphic, which is about whether you're trying to help people who want a job or you're trying to help people who don't want a job.
I heard a young man on the radio the other day. He was 30 years old, trained as an engineer. He hasn't worked as an engineer in 8 years. Why? And he gets given jobs as waiters, whatever. He doesn't want to because he thinks they're not good enough. That's what we're dealing with. People who will not do menial jobs because they're not good enough for them. Do
you remember the slogan we had Labour isn't working? Do you remember this from the 70s, before the Tories came to power? So, this is like the most famous political advert ever. What about a take on it? I don't know, if Labour were going to fight back, the Conservatives are even worse. I mean, that's the level of debate we've got on this, isn't it?
And listening to the Shadow Secretary of State saying that Labour have dodged tough decisions. They've had 14 years, many of those years with a large majority in Parliament, and they're accusing Labour of dodging it.
They are dodging it.
Give them a chance, for Christ's sake.
COVID was the thing that killed everyone, wasn't it?
No, the benefits bill started to rocket long before COVID.
All right,
long
fair
before
enough.
COVID.
Thank you, Leslie, so much. Leslie, that's so interesting about your son. And I hope, and I'm not surprised you're cross, because he's taking everyone for a ride. Anne in Hertfordshire, hi.
Hello, good morning. I'd like to say that it stems from children at school. We need to bring back in careers advisors, give kids hope.
Yeah.
I went to school 30 years ago, and my teacher said to me, "I'd amount to nothing." Didn't have any aspirations, but I was good at school. I'd come out with A levels, GCSEs, and I wanted to be a chef.
Yep.
And she said I had no skills in that. I went off to London with a friend. We went to the Hilton Hotel in London. We sat in reception, and
people
come over to us and said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want a job."
Yeah,
and they gave me a job in the kitchen, washing pots. I went on to be a chef. I stayed there for 12 years.
Oh, I love it. We love it.
Chef.
But listen,
And I
weirdly,
loved it.
what I'm going to suggest to you, Anne, is that even better than a careers advisor is the teacher who says to you, you're going to amount to nothing. Because then you've got something to prove.
Yeah.
And careers, the problem with this country, Anne, is everyone wants to be famous.
Yeah.
And it's pop quiz factor or whatever it's called.
I mean, can you imagine a lot of young people today doing what Anne did?
I think you're amazing,
I can't
Anne.
imagine it.
Well, it happens. I mean,
I don't
come
know
on.
if it does.
Why are we so putting down young people?
Because they're not working,
well,
Phil.
some of them
That's
aren't.
why.
But you're tarring everybody with the
Phil's
same
got
brush.
young children, not young children, but you've got kids in their 20s, so they... so you know what
Exactly.
it's like. It's tough.
And we're tarring, Carrie, you're tarring everyone with
I'm
the
not
same
tarring
brush.
everyone
There's a lot
with
of
the same
people
brush.
in this.
I'm tarring
young people
the
want
1
to work.
million
it's
people.
insulting to say they don't.
I'm tarring the 1 million people, young people between 16 and 24, who aren't looking for a job and don't want a job. People like, Anne, that's who I'm talking about.
If you maybe you've got to say, and this sounds terribly harsh, but if you are depressed, you go to hospital. If you are in hospital, you are depressed. If you're not in hospital, you're not depressed and you can work. A lot of people work with depression. You can do it. Thank you, Anne, so much. Bless you. Terry in Dorset. Which of our panel here do you not agree with?
I don't agree with the gentleman. I agree with the lady on the panel. Jeremy, I'll tell you a little story.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah. We got time?
Right. I worked in a supermarket for 15 years in Dorset.
Brilliant.
Every Thursday, a couple came in, man and wife, their trolleys full up, absolutely full up with goods. They go outside on their mobiles, ring for a taxi. All those people who pay taxes watching your programme are paying for those two people.
No.
They've never worked in their life.
What, they're on benefits? But how would they afford all that on benefits? I just don't believe it.
Because they're on lots of benefits.
Because they work, Jeremy, they work the system. There's thousands that work the system. Thousands of people. The chap on the end there...
It's Phil, yeah.
He doesn't really know but what goes on in the real world, and they work the system. My wife worked for years with a company that helped people get to work. And people used to come in to her with no shoes on. They never washed in their life.
This is back in the day.
Them a miles away. And it was, in those days, if you refused 3 jobs, they would stop the benefits.
Exactly. Yeah, all right, thank you, Terry. That's essentially that. Thank you so much, Terry. We'll take a few more calls after the break. But I have talked to employers who say because you're forced to do interviews for jobs to find a job, people will deliberately come in and screw up the interview by sitting in the wrong way round in the chair, staring out the window.
And then they don't turn up for work.
Yeah.
I've just been reading that.
OK, 0207 862 2222. Evelyn in Doncaster, hello there.
Hi, my name is, you've mentioned my name, but talking about it.
Should we say Evelyn or Evelyn? Which do you prefer?
NA is fine with me.
Anything? OK.
Yeah.
What would you like to say then, Evelyn?
Well, it's to do with this, we the working class people get oh God, my word is not coming out, scrutinized when we are ill. Because I've worked over 30 years and I became ill. And being ill, my illness was a bit like being partially sighted and not able to move around and being like all these aches and pains, as she's saying there. But at the same time, and I'm not able to go out to go and work. I'm willing to work, but I'm not able to go out because I'm left indoors in darkness. I can't face the light. So somebody like that, how do I cope with it? And so when somebody will say, "Oh, she don't want to work," I've worked my lifetime, care for my children.
But I don't get, Evelyn, is why they are challenging you when you're partially blind. But the lad we heard about the other day is spending all night on his Game Boy, and he claims benefits without a problem.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
It's interesting that I read a great quote by a writer called Ross Clark today. He said, the Labour Party isn't a party for the workers anymore. It's a pressure group for, what does he call it? A pressure group for aggrieved victims. And that's what it feels like to me now. The country is not even, I hasten to say, even I get your party side bad. Don't mean you. I'm talking about a man like the Laddo before. Yeah. You know, it's everyone's an aggrieved victim. You know, you can't work because you're Well,
they haven't really started.
Anxious.
They've only been in power 6 months. Give them a moment.
Hang on, the sickness handlers, the bill is going to rise by 1.3 billion before they even start the review.
Well, who were in for the last 14 years, Carole?
Oh, never mind that. You know, this is the thing with people.
Never mind
this is the thing with the left wing. We're talking about this. We're talking today about Labour's
and
review.
They need to act, and
we're talking about this review.
Pull their socks up and get on with it.
The claims they're making is they're going to cut the benefits bill. No, they're not, because they won't even say when they're going to start to cut the benefits bill. They won't even give that out, and they won't say how they're going to do it. All this scheme is, it's renaming job centres, something else, and a few apprenticeships, nothing else.
All right.
It's useless.
Evelyn, thank you very much. I think that's probably all we got time for that, but that's it. I know we blew it. We blew the timings there. Evelyn, bless you.